I've made some major changes to my crypto portfolio, and in this video, I'm going to tell you each and every altcoin that I'm now holding. I'm going to tell you about the altcoins that I've been selling, as well as the new small cap altcoins that I've been acquiring. I'm also going to tell you why I think it's the last safe moment to be able to make significant changes in your portfolio before the bull run kicks in. So do me a favor, hit that like button, and let's get into today's video. Now guys, I made this video back on October the 10th, which really isn't that long ago, about my $1 million crypto portfolio, where I was holding 28 different altcoins. That number is now down to 22, and I'm going to tell you each of these in just a moment. But before we look into what I'm holding, it's worth considering where we are and why this is our final chance before the market really starts to heat up. Bitcoin has broken through this 8-month-long downtrend. You can see it has now perfectly come back down and retested. It did this yesterday. It's now starting to break higher towards the upside once more. I think given the looming elections, given the global M2 money supply that's flooding into the market right now, we really don't have long to wait before everything goes crazy. Okay, so where to start? Well, this is my crypto portfolio that I was holding back on October the 10th. And I'll leave this linked down below in the description if you want to go and check it out. But we're going to make changes to this portfolio as we run through this video, which represent the changes that I've been making to the coins that I'm holding. Now, first of all, in that old portfolio, I was holding 28 coins. I've now reduced that down to 22, and for good reason. I even think I could probably maybe reduce it a little bit further. Let me know down below whether 22 is too many or too little, given that I spend at least 12 hours every single day researching crypto and spending my time in it. Now, first things first, at the top of the list, I had 10% of my portfolio in Bitcoin. And the major reason for this was that maybe we were going to see a pullback in Bitcoin. And if that happened, the altcoins would have bled really hard. So it made sense to hold more money in Bitcoin. However, now with the market looking extra bullish and Bitcoin dominance continuing to soar towards the upside, I think it's time to reduce the amount of Bitcoin I'm holding because the opportunity in altcoins is that much bigger right now. On to the next coin. I was holding 20% in SUI on the 10th of October, and I've now reduced that down to just 10% in SUI. And why is that? Oh, because SUI's a crap coin. It's not as good as other. It's not because of that at all. I did it because straight after that video that I made before, you could see SUI from the 10th of October went up another 32%. And considering I was holding around 20% of my $1 million crypto portfolio in SUI, you can tell that I probably made a lot of money. So what did I do after this? Well, considering the SUI was massively outperforming the market, I took a lot of profit from that and I turned it into USDT to wait for the next move. I still believe that SUI will continue higher, but after this big move, it was pretty evident that we could see a pullback. And luckily, we did see a pullback, so it turned out to be a good move. And according to DeFi Llama, SUI TVL started to show a little bit of a drop-off. And in terms of the volume as well, it did have a little bit of a drop-off. I do think that SUI will be a top-performing coin during this bull market, and that's why I still hold 10% of my portfolio in this coin. Quite a lot. So where did the money then flow into? Well, you can see I was holding 5% of Solana, and that's because Solana had been running really hot and then it pulled back quite aggressively. I then decided that Solana was here to stay and we were going to continue to see significant upside, so I made my Solana position 10%. Now I know lots of you will be like, oh, you're chopping and changing your portfolio really regularly. I get it. You're probably right, okay? But I was aware that when I made that video before that I was probably holding too many altcoins that I needed to condense down, and maybe I had a bit too much exposure to kind of higher risk coins, which is why I've gone to the bigger market cap coins like Solana and kind of like doubled down on my positions there. Here as well, you can see I had 5% of TON. I've now cut completely my TON position. Now, TON's an interesting one. It does have a pretty big market cap, much bigger than the likes of SUI, and we're just not really seeing the excitement and attention growing there. I do think at some point it's going to be successful, but I still see there's probably more upside in SUI. Again, don't get upset because I'm holding certain coins that you might not be holding, or you're holding coins I'm not holding. It's just my point of view, okay? From the information that I've got in front of me, from the research I've done, I don't really like or dislike any coins. I only look at like the value and opportunity that is available within each and every space. Now, coming down the list, you can see I have 5% here in Near Protocol. I've since updated that to now having 10% in Near Protocol. And one of the major reasons for that is while we've seen really strong moves in SUI and some of the other layer ones, Near Protocol seems to be lagging a bit, but also because Near Protocol is heavily linked to AI. When AI starts to run strongly, Near Protocol for sure will have a good run of it. This bull market, when it comes to utility coins at least, will be heavily driven by AI. Now on to the next one, which has also taken some of the money away from Sui, and that is Aptos, which increased to around 10%. And I made a video telling you that I was starting to move some of my Sui into Aptos. Don't get hung up on this coin being better than that one. Simply, all that we noticed was this. Aptos over on DeFi Llama was indicating that huge volumes were continuing to grow, that the TVL was going bonkers, and down below you can see a bunch of projects were performing incredibly strongly over on Aptos. This gave me an indicator that there could be a bit of good upside available. It was also lagging quite hard behind Sui. And you can see that after Sui started to cool down, Aptos then ran really strongly towards the upside. So again, this worked quite well, and I will continue to make changes as the bull market moves on. If I'm in coins that outperform the rest of the market, I will take profits, and then I will start to look for other opportunities in coins that have been yet to pump too hard. Now guys, if you are holding Aptos or you want to go and buy or sell Aptos, then head across to MEXC, link down below in the description. Why? Because right now they've got a promo on where you can win a share of the $1.5 million worth of Aptos tokens that they have to give away. They also offer 0% fees and around 4,500 different altcoins. I guarantee that every altcoin that I talk about today will be available through MEXC, which is linked down below. Not only that, but for the next month, you can also earn additional 20% in Aptos tokens. So if you're holding Aptos, move them across here and you can stake them to make 20%. Also gain a share of various different prize pools and join in competitions. Absolute no-brainer. If you're holding Aptos, then go across to MEXC and make the most of this opportunity. Link down below in the description. Okay, back to my portfolio. Moving on. ICP, I was holding 3%. I've since reduced ICP down to 2%. Why is that? I know lots of people are going to get really upset by that. I don't know why. It doesn't really matter, okay? Just a coin at the end of the day. If you like it, great, then hold more. So why did I reduce down the amount of ICP that I was holding? While ICP is an exciting project and lots of things are going on and, you know, they're building this ecosystem and they're going to be building AI into the blockchain and all of these incredible things, it still seems to be lacking kind of new top quality projects being built onto ICP. That's what I'm waiting for. When that eventually starts to take place, if eventually that starts to take place, then I will start to flood funds back into ICP. But for now, I still hold a 2%, which is still pretty big. Down below, you can see AGI, Delesium, 3%. I now upgraded that to 4%, so I'm now holding 4% in AGI, mainly because AI agents are quite clearly the major investment play for this bull market. Now remember, I was holding 28 coins, which is probably too many, and I might have had to cut some that you probably quite like. For example, I cut out Talbitenza, which you probably quite like, but I just did it because I weighed up the kind of like the pros and cons. I had AI exposure through Near Protocol, I had it through AGI, I had it through ICP. Whether I've made the right decision or not, who really knows? Yeah, we'll figure it out as the bull market runs on. Now coming down next to Superverse, I had 4%. I've now upgraded my 4% to 5%. And seems to have played out quite well. The market seems to be running very well for gaming coins. Gaming has pretty much underperformed since the last bear market. Why? Well, you know, maybe it's just not got the attention it deserved. But recently, with the rise of off-the-grid game being released on Avalanche, we've seen the gaming ecosystem as a whole start to really show some excitement. Not only that, you're seeing like Elio Trades, Alex Becker, and some of the bigger influencers, particularly focused towards gaming and AI, starting to focus back into the area and bringing a lot of the hype and excitement back. Superverse is a project that is founded by Elio Trades and getting a lot more attention because of those two. I think that's very bullish for that particular project. It's also the ecosystem that all the other games in Web3 gaming want to kind of interact with. Also, with recent moves in gaming, lots of more hype and excitement, I added a little bit more to Beam. I've now got 5% in Beam. Again, gives me exposure to the gaming ecosystem without having necessarily the risk of being invested in individual games. I also continue to hold 4% in Echelon Prime and also linking AI agents together with gaming. This is an incredibly important thing. Now, those gaming projects that I've mentioned so far are all like ecosystem kind of projects. They don't tend to have very small market caps, but they have good exposure to gaming as a narrative. However, I wanted to have some exposure to two games. I was holding before Octo Gaming 1% and Carrot 1%. I actually increased these to 2% each. Why? Both have very promising games, onboarding hundreds of thousands of active users, again being pushed quite aggressively by the likes of Alex Becker. In terms of Carrot, at least, I think it looks like a really promising one. Octo Gaming, multiple hundreds of thousands of players registered for online gaming, part of the Solana Foundation. Again, really interesting calls. Now guys, I appreciate as I've rattled through these that you're probably not going to know exactly what each of these different coins are, and I understand that. Don't just go and ape into these coins because I'm talking about them. You need to go and research them. If you don't really know how to research individual projects, that's absolutely fine. If you're new to crypto or whatever, don't worry about it, okay? but the best way for you to understand how to research different projects and to really up your game in crypto is to subscribe to the House of Crypto, okay? I'm going to continue to update you on my crypto portfolio as we get through this bull market. I'm also, at some point, I'm going to tell you to sell. When everyone else out there is telling you to continue to keep buying, and you just end up buying and buying the tops of everything, I'm going to be there telling you that you're wrong and you need to sell something. So make sure that you're subscribed, and then you're going to be able to actually make money in this bull market. Now, OM's a real world asset token. It's a big one, and it's been doing incredibly well. So what do I do with anything that's been doing incredibly well when the rest of the market hasn't been doing amazingly? I sell it, okay? I sold, in fact, all of my OM, and I moved it into other real world asset projects. What did I do? I found smaller cap real world asset projects to invest into. For example, increasing my Maple Finance from 2% up to 4%. Why? Again, Maple Finance showing TVL significantly growing while still maintaining a relatively small market cap. It's seen some good upside recently, so it seems to have been a pretty good move. Clearpool Finance as well was at 2%. Now I hold 4% again. Similar news to Maple Finance, okay? Really high potential real world asset token with much better upside potential than some of the bigger projects, the likes of Ondo, OM Mantra. Okay, these projects will still do well, but I think these two have much more upside potential due to the fact they're smaller market cap. I still continue to hold 4% of Aerodrome, and the reason is that Base, the chain owned by Coinbase, still has massive TVL, huge volumes, etc. Aerodrome is also showing the growth of TVLs and the volumes from the growth of the Base blockchain, which obviously makes sense to be holding something that is exposed to that while having a bit of a bigger market cap than some of the other real world asset plays that I hold. Now, jumping across to Deepin, which I probably should have put just right after AI, but I got excited and got carried away. You know, don't shoot me. But basically, I still continue to hold 2% in AIOZ or AOZ, and I continue to hold 2% in Helium. And recently, I did decide that maybe I will get rid of my Aether. Why did I do that? Well, because I own a lot of different Aether nodes, and Aether's kind of feeding me a passive income from the nodes, so I still had exposure, good exposure. I still think this project's an absolute winner. I will be back into it at some point later on the bull market because I do think it has huge upside potential. But just for now, I'm just using the rewards that I'm getting from those nodes and staking those rewards, which gives me the exposure to the project that I want. Now, coming down, these are all three projects that are on Sui, small cap projects. One's a launchpad, one's a DEX, and this one's a staking and lending platform. I actually increased from 1% in each of these to 2% in each of these. Why? Because it gives me good exposure to Sui as an ecosystem. When Sui does really well, these small caps under Sui will also tend to explode towards the upside. We've seen really good upside in these recently. SuiPad's still well under $10 million market cap, and these I think will do really well with Sui. TAI, TARS Protocol. This is still a really exciting project. I think it's going to do well, part of the Solana Foundation, and I don't hold that 1% anymore. The reason, I still think it's going to be a great project, I still think it's going to do really well, but I just wanted to reduce down the number of coins I was holding, okay, make it more manageable, and 1% here and there in some projects, maybe not that worth it, I don't know, let's find out. Also, I've added another small cap, really small cap coin under Aptos. Same reason why I hold tokens under Sui, is that when Sui does well, DEXs do well, lending platforms do well, and launchpads do well. Aptos again showing similar growth. I wanted to be involved in a small cap DEX, so I went and invested into Pontum, which is ticker symbol LSD. Very, very small cap coin, but I still think it has significant upside in the future coming as Aptos continues to grow towards the upside. Now, down at the bottom of this list, previously Ordinals and BVM, a project that I've been heavily invested in for quite a long time. I then reduced it down all the way to 1%. However, recently I've decided to cut out and get out of Ordinals, and I've decided to get out of BVM. And this is why. Despite having really good tech and a project that's building all the time with a really good team behind it, driving a lot of marketing, and they're onboarding a lot of clients, doing a load of partnerships, they're doing all the right things. But just because the narrative is not really capturing attention, this coin just really is struggling to get back to where it was. Unfortunately, that just means I decided to take an L here. We did see a bit of a pump back sometime in July, but every time that Bitcoin and the crypto markets have tried to recover more recently, like you can see that's been happening ever since the 5th of August, we then had this dip. Bitcoin's showing good strength here. If the altcoins that you're holding are struggling to show any strength, while Bitcoin is showing strength and just continuing to drip down towards the downside, in my opinion, it's best to cut your losses and run. That coin might come back at some point, but you've got a much better shot of recouping your losses by taking that money out of the failed investment, shall we say, and moving it to stronger assets. Okay, so some of this money is just moved back into gaming and other stronger assets. This is why it's your last chance to do this. Because when the market starts to run hot you can't really take money from underperforming projects and put it into the ones that have been really strongly performing, because those ones might be closer to a top. Right now, you can see the strong performing coins like Delesium, for example, which has shown a good recovery since these recent dips, okay, up nearly over 89% at one point, now sort of retesting this level. This is showing strength, okay, so when Bitcoin's coming back, you're seeing strength in projects like this. I would rather take my L somewhere else and move it into a project like this that is also very long way from previous all-time highs, where you can see now a 4x back to those highs. And if, for example, I had like $1,000 I put in BVM, I now have $100. That $100 by putting it into AGI, by the time it gets back up here, I'll have like $400, which means I'm still down on that initial investment, but it's not as bad as a coin that will just continue to grind down until I've got like $22 left. Okay, take the hit, get over it, move on. Appreciate that you have to be in different crypto coins, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and having a good spread across your portfolio allows you to recoup the losses where you might have taken somewhere else into other strong coins. So anyway, for those of you who've been paying really close attention, you'll know I have 4% left to allocate to a brand new crypto coin, one of which I've never talked about before. But before we tell you about that, I want to tell you about this absolutely free crypto masterclass that I'm running on the 2nd of November. Now, spaces are limited for this, so make sure you sign up quickly. But if you're tired of only hearing about projects after they've already done a 20 or a 30x on YouTube or Twitter, but don't worry, in this masterclass, I'm going to take you through a step-by-step method that I do on a daily basis to identify high potential small cap altcoins that have the potential to do 50, 60, maybe even 100x during the bull market. There's a very low chance that you're going to find any coins on YouTube or Twitter that are going to do a 50 or 100x. If you want to find those small caps, then make sure you join my masterclass. It's linked down below. I'm going to give you all of my tips and tricks to find these killer projects, because you are only 1 or 2 projects away from making life-changing sums of money. Link is down below in the description. Come across here, make sure you go to the bottom, leave down here your contact details, make sure you leave an email address, because if you miss this live stream, you can also get the recorded version, which will get emailed to you. If you have any questions that you want answered in the call, then leave a question here. Now, jumping across to Polymarket, which is going to lead us towards our final token. Polymarket is a predictions platform. It allows people to bet on particular events that are coming up. For example, the presidential election winner for the United States. You can see Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. But what's more important here is you can see $2.4 billion of volume have been placed into these bets right now. And this is incredible, because you're like, whoa, does Polymarket have a token? That is a good question. Polymarket does not have a good token, or have a token, which is a pain in the ass. But don't worry, I found another prediction platform that does have a token that is also showing good growth in terms of its TVL, but still heavily undervalued. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Drift. Now, what is Drift all about? Well, you can see, and this is what I've been paying attention to, it's a prediction market. Okay, prediction market's doing well. Wouldn't it make sense to invest in a prediction market? Market cap, 165 million, which is still pretty low. Okay, not tiny, but still pretty low, considering that the total value locked is just soaring towards the upside. Okay, this is incredibly important. This is basically in like bets and trades. You can see that this is a platform that is getting heavily utilized. It's built on Solana. It probably should benefit from the growth of the Solana ecosystem that we're seeing right now. And you can see again, quite recently, it's been showing good strength. Okay, this was that initial dip from Bitcoin. It's been up 247% since then. It has, however, pulled back, is now showing some strength. And what's good is today it has dipped about 8%. That's obviously good because it's been pushing quite hard over the last few days. You can expect to see good dips after seeing 40 to 50% pushes in any coin. It's just healthy price action. Drift, you can see, in my opinion, looks like a very interesting bet considering what's been going on with Polymarket. That's why I've allocated 4% to Drift in my portfolio. Now, guys, all of the coins that I've talked about today, I personally have done a lot of research into. I've thought hard about how to allocate my funds to different coins. Are they the right calls? I'm sure that there's going to be other coins out there that might outperform particular coins I hold in my portfolio. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know for certain what's going to happen. All I can do is read the information and the data and have a bit of knowledge and understand where things might end up. Everything in crypto and trading is a probability game. Don't enter into this thinking that you're guaranteed to walk away with 50x or whatever it is, because you'll just get absolutely wrecked, right? This is me having the best bet I can, I think, with my own current situation, okay? We all have different jobs, we all have different amounts of money, we are all different ages, we all have different responsibility. Some of you got children, some of you don't have children, some of you are 15 years old, some of you are 75 years old, okay? So use your situation to make the right choices for you. If you don't have much time to spend researching crypto projects, then don't hold 22 crypto projects like I do. You should probably be holding less than 10. If you have loads more money than me and a lot more time, then you can probably hold a few more crypto coins. So it's up to you how you do things. Remember, there is no such thing as a perfect portfolio. Don't just copy mine unless you're prepared to deal with the consequences of copying mine. But I will continue to update you on this portfolio each month as things change. So hit the like button if you enjoyed it and subscribe, and I will keep you up to date with how I do my research and the changes that I make to this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye-bye.